Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor, and on this channel I post about books, book reviews, hauls, and maybe some vlogs. Since it is July, it is about mid-year. I'm a little bit late, but it is about mid-year, so I wanted to do like a reading update for the middle of the year, all of my favorite books that I've read so far. So this year I have read 34 books, and out of that 34 I have given 4 or 5 stars to 12 books, and maybe more than that, I don't really know, but these are the books that I still think about and that have stuck with me since I read them. So I'm just gonna go through and talk about all of them just a little bit, and hopefully I can convince you to read some of them if you haven't already. Starting off, early on in the year I read Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This is a really popular book. I mean, it was like a huge book talk book that everyone on Book Talk had read, but I was late to the game, clearly. It's about 2 women, and both of them are like aspiring authors, and only one of them kind of makes it. Her name is Athena, and then June is like the main character. Well, first chapter around, Athena dies and June witnesses it, and in the heat of the moment, for some reason, she just steals all of her work and decides to publish her work as herself to finally make it as an author, since she was really jealous of Athena and she convinces herself that it's not that bad. So she's a very unlikable, awful main character, but I loved this book. She's like the one terrible main character that I've actually enjoyed reading. Usually I don't like unlikable characters, but this kind of made me like sympathize with her a little bit, and then she would do something and I would snap back out of it and be like, wow, she's crazy. But it's like unreliable narrator kind of writing. You kind of start to feel bad for her, and then you're like, never mind, because you just keep getting reminded how crazy she is. But you also, Athena is not like some angel, some perfect woman just because she's like dead. Like, she isn't made out to be this perfect person. Like, she wasn't good either. So it's very complex, and I loved this book and I could not put it down. I was reading this on the treadmill. That's when you know it's good. If you somehow haven't read this book yet, definitely pick it up, give it a try. Next is a weird little book, Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. This one, I don't even think I gave it 4 stars, because at the time I didn't like it, but I haven't stopped thinking about it. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. And I'd say it was like a good book, and I did read it really quickly. It just was so gross and nasty that I couldn't even give it 4 stars, but I put it in this video because every time I think about it, I think very highly of it, and I think it's a really good book. This one is about a woman who is like in the middle of an eating disorder, and she meets this other woman. Her name is Miriam, and she's Jewish. Rachel, the main character, is technically Jewish, but like she hasn't been practicing, and somehow in meeting Miriam and getting into a kind of relationship with her, a strange relationship, she eats because of Miriam for some reason. It's so very strange. Like, Miriam causes her to come out of her eating disorder and eat normally. And they have like a romantic relationship, but it's like, if you read it, you know what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't, it's I don't know, it's weird. It's strange. It was very, very weird, and the writing like makes you feel actually sick. So don't eat while you're reading this, because that's just not a good idea. But if you like weird, strange books, like weird girl lit, definitely read Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. I want to read more of Melissa Broder's work, but I just need a break. I need a break before I read another one, because this was, I don't know, it just like makes you feel very strange. The next book that I read is another very strange, gross one, My Dark Vanessa. This one is about Vanessa. She's a teenager. She is 15, and she gets into a relationship with her English teacher, but she kind of goes after him, but and he like barely restrains himself. Like, he tries for a little bit, but then he just like completely grooms her. He acts like for like 5 minutes, like, no, I can't do this, but then that doesn't last very long. So he is disgusting, horrible person, and I feel so bad for Vanessa while I was reading this. But like, she was groomed really bad, and she would make decisions that I was like, girl, like, I would get very irritated with her, but then I would have to remind myself, like, she's being groomed, she's been groomed by this man, she's 15. Like, she has no idea. It's not her fault that she had a crush on an older man. Everybody has a crush on an older man at one point. Like, teachers are supposed to be trusted with not getting into relationships with students, so it's a big mess. I thought it was very well done, and I felt like it was really realistic. This one, I also read Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy, and it was like a bad version of this. I heard her memoir is really good, but then whenever she tried to write fiction, it just was poorly executed. But I feel like it wasn't like bad, I really didn't like the writing style, and I feel like she can get better. It was only her first fiction, so, but this book, the emotions that it brings is gross. You feel very weird and strange when reading it. But I really did like this, and it made me emotional, and I actually annotated a bunch of it, which I don't annotate books. So, but I know it's also very popular, and I think it's also was popular on Book Talk. But again, if you haven't read it, definitely read this, unless you feel like you can't handle, that topic of grooming and, old men getting into relationships with children. So the kind of books that I like to read are very gross, horrible, and nasty. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I haven't really gone through anything that bad in my life that I enjoy reading about it to traumatize myself. Next one that I read, The God of the Woods. I don't know what genre this would be. Like, fictional true crime kind of novel. Like, it wasn't a thriller. It was like told as a true crime novel, but it's fiction, you know what I'm saying? So like, just crime, I guess. Subtract the true part. What am I actually talking about? This one is about Barbara, who is 13, and she wants to go to camp. She is the daughter of the people who own this camp. 14 years earlier, her little brother went missing at the camp as well, and there's like this whole search for her, and at the same time it's telling the story when he went missing, and it's like a crazy, like, multiple different years, dual timeline-ish kind of, and it has all these different characters that you have to keep up with. It, like, after I got through the first few chapters, I understood who was who, but like, it was such a big story. It covered so much ground in so many years, and it was crazy. There's like this whole big map. The ending was pretty realistic. It was not stupid. I was satisfied at the end. There was crazy twists all throughout it. It's huge, actually. It's really big. But oh my gosh, this was like the craziest crime-ish book that I've ever read, and it was so good. I read this in like 5 days. This is huge. How many pages is it? It's a little bit less than 600 pages, but wow, it was so good. I could not put it down. I really recommend this. Especially during the summer. It's kind of like summer camp vibe, crime novel. Like, it's really good to read during the summer. Next, I read my probably favorite book of all time, Heart the Lover by Lily King. Lily King is one of my favorite authors of all time now because of this book. This is the sequel, I think, to Writers and Lovers, which I'll get into later, but this is about, she's like technically unnamed. They give her the nickname Jordan, but you don't find out her real name until later on, and that's whenever you realize it's connected to Writers and Lovers. if you read this first, but it's about, she is dating this guy that she met in her English class, and he lives with his best friend, and so they become like a trio, like a little friend group. But she realizes he kind of sucks, and she gets into a relationship with his best friend, the roommate, and they have like a love story, but they end up, they don't know if they can be together because of who she used to be with. The first half of the book is when she's in college, and then it skips. The second half of the book skips to where she's older and moved on with her life, and I'm not gonna say anymore. But the middle part where it skips over from young to older is actually Writers and Lovers. So technically it's like beginning of this book and then Writers and Lovers and then the second half of the book. But you're supposed to read Writers and Lovers first. I just didn't. And you don't have to. It's just this was published first. And so Writers and Lovers is like the middle stage when she's like meeting new people and trying to figure out her life and trying to figure out her writing because she wants to be a writer. And the past relationship with the roommate, it's just a whole big mess, and she's just trying to figure out herself. And I loved these two books so much. I read this one in a day and a half. It's not that long. This one took me a little bit longer to read because I kind of knew where things were going since I read Heart the Lover first, but y'all, if you have not read these books, you have to read them. You have to read them. Like, you have to read them. This is literally one of my favorite books of all time. Then I also read Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. I'm pretty sure I've already talked about this book and also a few other ones, but this is about, it's a classic. Lenny and George, and they're trying to find work, and they're traveling all over the place. They come across this like farm, and they meet the people that live there, and Lenny is kind of, there's something wrong with Lenny. And then George is like the brains, but Lenny's a good worker. He just is kind of slow. When tragedy strikes, everything just goes downhill. And this book is so, I love Lenny. And everything in it just makes me so sad. I would definitely reread this, and I wish I would have read this whenever I was younger, but I'm also glad that I got to read it whenever I was like 19 and not like 15. I feel like it hit harder, but definitely if you want to get into classics, start with this. I read this in a day, very tiny, and I really want to read East of Eden. I just don't know when I'm going to start it because it's pretty big. Next I read Play It As It Lays by Joan Didion. I love this book. I also like how it's really short chapters. Like, this is one chapter. It's like her relationships, her lessons in life, and honestly, I don't remember the details. I just loved this book, and I really liked the vibe of it more than anything. It was a really fast read, but I really sympathized with Mariah, and I really liked how the story was told. I really do like Joan Didion, so if you haven't tried into Joan Didion and you want to get into Joan Didion, I would start with Play It As It Lays. If you want to read her fiction, because I don't really like her nonfiction, to be honest. Or maybe just it's because I read one of her later memoirs, but yeah, if you want to get into her fiction, read Play It As It Lays. Then I read Loved One. I cannot pronounce this. Aisha Muharar. I don't know how to say it, but this one is about, I've already talked about it on this channel, but I'm just gonna read the blurb because every time I try to explain this book, I get lost in my words. When her first love turned close friend Gabe dies unexpectedly at 29, 30-year-old Julia is launched into an intercontinental quest to recover his lost possessions. Her journey takes her from Los Angeles to London and into the murky realm of the past. It also sets Julia on a collision course with the last woman he loved, a self-possessed florist and restaurant owner named Elizabeth, who insists on withholding Gabe's beloved guitar, one of the departed indie rock musician's dearest belongings, for reasons Julia can't understand. Both women, it turns out, have something to hide, and soon find themselves engaged in a complex dance of withholding and revelation. This book was so good. The female friendship and like relationship in this book of the two girls, or two women. It was so good. They weren't pit against each other like you would think. They formed this strange connection because of Gabe, and Gabe also, just because he's dead, like Athena and Yellowface, he's not painted as some angel. He was not that great of a person, but the reveals in this book had me gasp out loud. I really liked the journey that Julia went on. It was such a good book. This one, I saw a lot of this on TikTok, but if you haven't heard about it, definitely read Loved One if you like a good literary fiction. Then we have Sunburn by Chloe Michelle Howarth. It's about Lucy in the small town of Crossmoor Island, who is a teenager in high school. I'm pretty sure she is going into her senior year when the book starts, and she's expected to marry her best friend slash neighbor slash childhood friend Martin, and like take over the farm with him and settle down with him and have kids. But she falls in love with her friend Susanna, and it's the question of, should she choose Martin and lose Susanna but keep everyone that she loves and the home that she loves and grew up in, or should she go off with Susanna and lose everyone because this whole town is extremely homophobic? She would lose her best friend Martin, her family, and she would have to leave Crossmoor, which is the place that she grew up and loves. They exchange letters throughout the whole book. It's like this little thing that they do, and it's so beautiful, but it's so heartbreaking. The whole story was so sad, but it was so good, and the romance between the two girls was just like, it was beautiful. But while she's in a relationship with Susanna, she decides to appease her mother and get into a relationship with Martin. So it's like she's experiencing a relationship with both of them at the same time. It's wild. Definitely read this book during the summer if you can. Oh my lord, I loved it so much. The last one is Lovers XXX. This book, I just finished it this morning. So good. This one is about Jude and Winnie, and Winnie ran away from home at 16, and then Jude came to find her in LA when she turned 18. This is during the 80s when the adult film industry was booming, and they both along the way got into filming adult films, and you see the inside life of adult film stars. The parties, the drugs, the sex, all of it lures them in and keeps them there until things go south. There's sabotage, one of them goes missing, and then the other one is left to find out what happened to them. So the first half of the book is from Jude's perspective, and then Jude goes missing, and the second half is Winnie's perspective, her friend, and it's her trying to figure out what happened to her, and she does not know where to start. Winnie also wants to become a writer, and so she's like, maybe I can write a true crime novel about what happened to Jude, but it doesn't really go as she thought it would. It's very wild, and oh my lord, I love this book so much. And if you take one book out of this video, read Lovers XXX by Ali Rowbottom. I got mine from Book of the Month, but oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. I haven't read a book this good in so long. You guys have to read this. It's so good. Thank you guys for watching my little mid-year wrap-up and update. I will see you guys soon in the next video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and like the video. Bye guys!